Welcome back. Let's check out social media. Twitter stock end of the day higher, up 2%, closing at $20 a share. That stock's been on the move. This as the Women's March tweeted out a happy birthday message to a cop killer now fugitive in Cuba. Her name is Assata Shakur, now praised as a sign of resistance. Formerly known as Joanne Chesimard, she's also the late rapper Tupac Shakur's aunt. She's a convicted murderer and member of the Black Liberation Army. Shakur escaped prison and fled to Cuba after killing a cop execution-style decades ago. But three prominent Democrat senators are declining to condemn the support of Shakur. Senators Kamala Harris, Dianne Feinstein, and Kirsten Gillibrand have all been enthusiastic supporters of the Women's March, not saying anything about the felons lauded as speakers and leaders of the march. Joining me now, Washington Times columnist Madison Gesiotto and Democrat strategist Jessica Tarla. First to you, Madison. You know, it's not just Chesimard, Shakur. Look at the other violent activists the Women's March associates with. Look at Linda Sarsour. She supports Sharia law, which oppresses women. She's a supporter of the terror-tied BDS movement. Also, Razmi O'Day, who planted 2 bombs at a Jerusalem supermarket, killing 2, and Angela Davis took part in a courtroom shootout, resulting in the death of a judge. And then there's Donna Hilton, who was part of a gang that kidnapped a man and tortured him to death. Shouldn't leaders from the Democrat and the Republican parties be condemning what's going on here?
Right. So, of course, they don't have to condemn it, but I would definitely think it would be in their best interest to do so. When we look at the Women's March, this is supposed to be promoting female empowerment and, you know, promoting women that are strong and powerful throughout this country. And I can think of so many amazing women they could have been tweeting happy birthday to besides this. I recently became friends with a young girl in Detroit, Michigan. Both of her parents are police officers, and specifically her mother. It's a petite woman in a male-dominated field serving in Detroit, which is a very dangerous city. This is someone I'd love to see us tweeting happy birthday to on the Women's March Twitter. And so it's really disappointing to see that we're tweeting out for someone who's a convicted murderer and has been on the FBI's most wanted list for decades.
And you know who's not on the list of women as people to look up to? Hillary Clinton and Elizabeth Warren. You know, CNN's Jake Tapper, Jessica, facing blowback for criticizing the violent activists leading the Women's March, writing, Shakur is a cop killer fugitive in Cuba. This ugly sentiment from Islamic activist Linda Sarsour and grassroots activists. Are there any progressives out there condemning this? Now he's being criticized. What do you think?
I think it's absolutely awful. I watched this all play out on Twitter, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, the far left, which is what this is. I mean, this is the extreme of the party. This is even beyond Bernie Sanders, was coming after him, saying that Jake Tapper was alt-right. I mean, that's how insane things got. I think it is a huge mistake on the behalf of those Democratic senators to not separate this woman from the purpose of the Women's March, which, as Madison pointed out, is about equality, empowerment, economic and social justice, criminal justice reform, saving the environment, saving women's health care, and protecting our right to choose. That's what the Women's March is about. That is not what this woman is about.
You know, Madison, to Jessica's point, not one establishment media outlet has covered what we're talking about now, that the left's one of its most prominent political movements, this Women's March, declared its support
Jake Tapper did.
Well, hang on, sorry. I hear what you're saying. Jake Tapper did, but we're talking about the other network. Sorry. Support for convicted murderers and felons who are leading the march. We're talking CNN, ABC. We know Jake Tapper, but it's also ABC, NBC, CBS, and MSNBC. They're featuring zero mentions of this story on the air.
Right, and Jessica's absolutely right. I mean, this is not something that the average Democrat is in support of or promoting. And so it's really disappointing to see that many of the media outlets are not even acting like this happened at all. And I think it is something important that we bring attention to, because I would love to see these female senators say that this is wrong. Not that they need to, disavow the Women's March, but they need to say this is not something that the Women's March should be supporting.
And guys, I know women who have brought their